Hi guys, welcome to our channel. This is a channel where we produce content about Ukrainian stand-up scene in English language. This channel is going to be interesting to people who are trying to learn more about Ukrainian culture and specifically are interested in Ukrainian comedy, as well as to Ukrainians who are interested in learning English language, which is very useful these days because we have a great audience from the world right now, and we need to communicate with them. So we're using this channel, which has no name right now, this YouTube channel. We're going to come up with a good name soon. We're going to be producing great content, have great guests. Today we had a guest from Ireland, David McSavage. During this podcast, we were talking about war in Ukraine, as well as some local news within the stand-up scene in Ukraine and in Lviv specifically. I think you're going to find this video very, very interesting. Please watch it and give it a like. Okay, so we're here in Lviv in Stand-Up Battle Club office, and we have a guest from Ireland, and his name is David McSavage.
Hello.
Hi, David.
Hello, happy to be here in support of the Ukrainian comedians. Thank you.
Yeah.
And me, hi.
And you.
Yeah, local comedian.
Do we introduce ourselves as well?
No.
Okay, who cares?
No,
No one
who
gives a
cares?
shit
No.
about us.
And this is your first podcast, I've heard.
It's my first podcast.
So how do you? Okay, good. I was going to say, how do you feel it's going? We literally haven't started.
And it's good that the first podcast with man with experience. You know.
That's always good to have.
Al-
Yeah,
always
the first
good
experience was.
Yeah, I've had experience, but I don't know if I'm wise.
Someone's knocking from above.
It's neighbors.
Yeah.
Ukrainians all time. У українців завжди проблеми з сусідами.
Ukrainians always have problems with the neighbors.
Yes, I used to live in a place right in Temple Bar in Dublin. It's a part of Dublin, right? And downstairs there was this cafe, and they'd play fucking music all day, and it was shite. But you couldn't hear the exact, but you just hear downstairs. And I had so much problems with these guys. And then I tried to go the official route, and then, you know, but that didn't work. So then I just started jumping up and down on my floor.
So you write about the bar?
Yeah, it's kind of
floor.
noise pollution. You know, when you're trying to go to sleep, it's impossible if noise from somewhere else is invading your space. It feels like it's inside your head, and this awful music. So we're doing this podcast, and then there's people upstairs banging. So, but like you say, this is quite common everywhere, I guess. You know, when you don't have that much money and you live in an apartment close to people. Not that you don't have much money. Oh God, please don't kill me.
So how do you like Ukraine so far? You were telling me that you had interesting experience crossing the border into Ukraine.
Well, yeah. So obviously, I was quite scared about coming to Ukraine first. So I was on the border, the Polish-Ukrainian border. It's Kursava. So then we go across the border, and we're in this sort of no man's land. And then I see these Ukrainian soldiers. And I've been hearing about the war, you know, the war. And then, but just looking at these soldiers.
So not just the border guards, the proper soldiers.
Not the Polish border guards. There were Ukrainian soldiers in military gear. And these guys looked like tough. They were very well built and muscular. But just, you know, the facial expressions, they had this kind of look that I haven't seen in Ireland that men have. Just an intensity, a seriousness, a kind of like they look like they could kill you very easily. And you know, I was sitting with one guy. I was sitting with a guy from the Azov Brigade, and he brought me across the Polish side of the border. And you know, he was smiling and all that, and then he'd kind of go, and his face, and I'd look at him and I go, Jesus Christ. You know, so they look like they've seen things that normal people haven't seen, and but having seen some of the destruction in this country brought upon by Vladimir Putin and his army, I understand why they look the way they do, because Ukraine is on this incredibly tough, horrific road at the moment.
Yeah, so on your first day, you made it into Lviv, and that's how we met at the English open mic. You were performing there. And
also, I have to say, the comedy clubs here look much better than comedy clubs I'm used to in Dublin and London. Like even that cult comedy hall, you know, it's just really well laid out. It just looks very kind of jazzy and cool and stylish. Whereas the clubs in Dublin, they just look like shit.
Because it was jazz club. Before comedy hall, it was jazz club.
Yeah, that place used to be just like a hangout place, but still like aesthetics of it are like very modern, and like any place in like popular places in Lviv, you can see that they're investing into interior and like to have something special. Like you don't really see that in other countries. Well, for me in Canada, they just don't bother with that. You know, like if they have a restaurant, they just like
and it's quite surprising because the outside of the buildings kind of look austere.
Yeah,
and then you'd think, oh God, that's what the outside.
There's a little bit that you can do with the outside because a lot of the buildings are historical buildings and they're protected by laws, so you can't really change the front of the building, but the inside they just go wild. You know, like, yeah.
So that was a big surprise. How, and even the comedy club we were in Kiev, or as you say, Kiev.
Kyiv. Not Kiev.
Kiev. The club was really pretty. I mean, it just has that sort of old style charm to it. So, like you said, they really invest into the how they decorate the place. They obviously care. They have a lot of passion. I don't know why I thought they wouldn't have, but definitely compared to comedy clubs in Dublin. I mean, the places I've played in Dublin are shitholes. I mean, I've played in these awful places like L-shaped club. You know, sorry, it was a bar, but it has an L shape. So one of the audiences over here, the other audience is over there, and the backdrop, like the stage. You know those ISIS videos where they have a hostage and they record a hostage, you know, that's what the stage looked like, awful, terrible lighting. And then if you complain to the fuckers, they look at you like you're a diva, but they haven't got a clue. And it's a simple enough thing to set up a comedy club. I mean, you know, you want to tip the balance in the favor of the comedian doing well. You don't want too much distraction. Good stage, good lights, good sound, and road seating, and a nice shape to the room. It's not fucking rocket science.
Do you have a lot of comedy clubs in Dublin?
Well, I mean, the population is 1 million, so we have a good few comedy clubs. But actually, there was a really good comedy club called the International Comedy Bar, and that was doing very well. But then COVID hit, and so COVID did kind of, it sort of. I don't know what it did. It just sort of slowed things down.
What was your first gig after COVID?
I think the first gig I did after COVID was in London in a place called the Top Secret Comedy. And it was very strange because it was the longest time I hadn't done comedy for all my comedy career. And, you know, I'm on stage and I'm looking at people and it was very kind of like, what the fuck am I doing? What are these people looking at? So I think with stand-up comedy, it's not something you can take a break from for too long. You have to keep on doing it. I do anyway, and build up a momentum, you know, so I can be match fit. So I found it very strange, you know, going back to doing comedy. But you only started during the...
I only started, but I had to take a break because the war started, and the comedy scene kind of went away for a while.
Yeah.
And I remember my first gig after the beginning of the full-scale war. Of course, the war in Ukraine, like, was Russia has been going on for 8 years, but the full-on invasion that happened on February 24th. So my first gig was in March, and it just felt so good to be back on stage. Like I remember that this is what I want, you know.
Yes.
That was awesome.
Yeah, so going back on stage was very, just difficult, and it almost felt like you're starting comedy again, because I think the best way to be on stage as a comedian is you're not really thinking about it. It's just all your ideas are there, they're present, and you can pick and choose, and your timing is really good. And the only way I've found that I can be that way is by just doing lots and lots and lots of shows. So honestly, during COVID, I didn't work for months and months, and I think I aged maybe 5 years in the span of 1 or 2 years. I think it was very bad for me, and I put on a lot of weight. I got quite fat during COVID because I was ordering in food. Although that food is tasty, but the cumulative effect of ordering take-in food, you know, because it's got lots of MSG and all that. Anyway, I put on weight, but I didn't like COVID. Some people thrived during COVID. You know, people who are very poor social interactors. You know, certain people, you know, thought that COVID was great. They liked it. You know, the emotionally. I can't use the or word, but
do you think someone would admit to liking COVID? Well, or just like secretly liking.
Well, the kind of people who aren't very social, I think, enjoyed it, and the kind of people who have shit jobs, which is like 90% of the, you know, so they didn't have to go into their work and they could work from home. Yeah. So yeah, a lot of people did well during COVID.
Так люблять люди, які не люблять самі брати на себе відповідальність щось робити, і ти коли зовні щось за них вирішує, як їм жити.
Yeah, so it's the people who don't like to take responsibilities for their own life, and they like to have outside factors influence their life, and you know, the way they built their lifestyle, and if the outside factor influences their life in the way that they like, so they enjoy it. So this is great.
Yeah,
okay.
yeah.
That's what Anton
I need to be out there working and struggling and performing.
Yes, stand-up is not very COVID friendly, you know.
No, and I tried to do some Zoom gigs.
How did that go?
They were awful. So you're performing to a screen, and you have somebody there, somebody there, somebody there, somebody there, somebody there, and they're sitting on their couch, you know, kind of looking at you, and you go, hello, hello. And then it's like, huh?
It's like if you have a show on TV and you could view the people watching it.
Yeah.
Do you mean its audience?
Yes.
Little squares
on Zoom.
Okay, because in Ukraine we had Zoom conversations too, but only comedians. And stream.
Okay. So it was like a stream, like a conversation in between comics. So you know, like the format that you mentioned that you liked when like 4 comedians are sitting on the stage and having a discussion. They did that in Zoom.
I think that's a good
I mean, даже в Zoom всего лишь 4 комика, и они это все транслируют.
Хто на українську перекладе?
Вибач, це мої базові налаштування. Мені важко, мене 3 мови в голові зараз.
Я вже 2 мови, 3 я не знаю.
Окей, я маю на увазі, що в Zoom було тільки 4 коміки, між собою спілкувались, і це транслювали в YouTube. Отак.
Так, але це схоже до того формату, де от 4 коміки на сцені між собою просто спілкуються. Вони ж з аудиторією.
Це ж трошки інше, вони ж саме разом. Окей, менш з тим. Вибачте, ви перебив вас.
So, what cities have you seen so far in Ukraine?
Well, I came to Lviv, did a gig in the Cult Comedy Hall, and then I met you, Anastasiya, over there from Ukraine and Canada. And I met Bogdan and some other Ukrainian comedians. And then I was with this Irish guy called Johnny O'Reilly and a Ukrainian woman called Tanya. And then the 3 of us were going to go to Ivano-Frankivsk. No, Chernivtsi.
No, first Ivano. Was it
Ivano-Frankivsk?
Ivano-Frankivsk first, because I went there with you guys, and we were sitting outside of the venue, getting people to come to the gig.
And I really wanted you to come because Johnny and Tanya started falling in love immediately on the journey, and that was really fucking annoying for me because, like, excuse me. So I do have ADHD. No, but Johnny was. They were falling in love with each other like the first or the second day of the fucking trip, right? And whatever chance I had of admiring or appreciating Tanya's values, Johnny totally fucked for me because he was falling in love with her, and he's they were obviously and so he was. She's absolutely amazing. Did you see she can type? She's totally amazing. Like if she fucking walked on the ground, you see the way she walked, and I'm like, fuck off. So the two of them were obviously the second day. They've got big smiles on their faces, and I'm thinking, what the fuck am I doing here? I felt like I was a third, like I was.
But you could feel like you're the bond between them too.
Anyway, the thing is,
the one who got them together.
Anastasia were a fucking godsend.
I'm a perfect cock blocker.
No, you're a cock blocker. You're
Excuse me. Go on.
So you were a godsend to me because I was able to hang out with you, and so you were like a buffer zone between me and those two fuckers. So it was great. So we went to Ivano-Frankivsk and there was nobody at the venue. So we had to stand outside the venue and do a street show. Hey, I'm here in Ivano-Frankivsk. Thank you. We're going to do a comedy show. But actually it kind of worked. And we
basically gathered all the people from the street for the audience inside. But we had a very good audience in Ivano-Frankivsk.
We did have a good audience. And so Tanya, what's your name again? Anastasia. Anastasia was, up there warming the crowd up, doing really well, perfect MC. And then I think you said something about something. I don't know what.
Oh no, I was just doing the Slava Ukraini, Heroyan Slava. And this one guy, he got all angry, and he stood up and he started talking to the audience.
Yes, no, I know exactly what happened. So Anastasia was going Slava Ukraine, and you expect this big response, and then people were like, yeah, Ukraine, Slava Ukraine. And then this guy stood up. Hey, if you're not standing and cheering for Ukraine, fuck you. And he was really drunk, and he was.
I was saying to people you won't leave this room if you don't do cheers to Ukraine's victory.
Which I understand, and people have different ways of reacting to what's happening. And this guy had a few drinks. And he was a young guy, and he's full of passion. But he didn't have bad intentions.
No,
but you handled it very well.
Yeah, I had a conversation with him explaining that we have the same point, except the method of delivery of this perspective is different because we're doing it through the comedy, and we're making fun of all of the stupid shit Russia's doing. Not specifically the way he was doing, because he's kind of provoking aggression, and that's not the space for it. That's not the format we were hoping for. But overall, it worked. He left eventually.
Yeah, it was. I hadn't fully thought out what I was going to do before I left Dublin, because even if people do speak good English, there's still a language barrier, and if you're doing stand-up comedy in English, sometimes you say exactly what you don't mean, you say the opposite of what you mean, and there's lots of irony. So there is a language barrier there. And then I thought, what the fuck am I doing here, doing stand-up comedy in English in Ukraine? I'm trying to cheer these people up, but it worked pretty okay.
Well, now that I'm looking back at our gigs, I think Ivano-Frankivsk was my favorite, because what happened, you started having conversation with people in the audience, and actually they had a decent knowledge of English and were able to communicate with you, and it was very interesting because you asked them for their opinions about how they feel about the war. Oh, this one guy who I don't know, he was a volunteer, and you asked him if he's afraid of the nuclear threat or something, and I don't remember. He said yes, and the way he answered, I don't remember his exact words, but it was just so emotional, and I was getting emotional there for a minute. But I liked it how it became interactive.
Yeah, me too. And I thought the gig in Chernovtsi was quite good as well. But it's definitely been a really cool experience. I mean, I'm blown away by Ukraine. It's such a pretty country. It's kind of magic, especially Lviv, beautiful place.
What about?
We were going to talk about that guy who's got into trouble. The comedian.
The comedian, yeah.
What was
did you have a question before we get to Oleg Gryundic's story?
А вам є що розказати ще більше про український тур, чи ви все
Well, maybe anything else you want to talk about the tour, the tour specifically?
Well,
like the
you know, after the last gig we did in
Kyiv,
we went to a town called Moshchun. Moshchun?
Yeah.
And I'd watched the TV coverage of the war. You know, I'd read stuff, I'd heard podcasts, but it certainly doesn't give you the experience of being there. And even words really fail to impress upon you, fail to impress upon people just the scale of the destruction in this town. 3,000 houses, maybe 2,000 of them were destroyed, bombed, burnt out by the Russian army. Okay, but like it wasn't. You see, I don't know what I thought about war before coming here, but I guess I thought like you know, the Russian army, they just have big guns and they just fire weapons and hope that they'd explode next to Ukrainian soldiers. But what happened? The Russian army, I don't know how close they got to the town of Moshchun. They set up their guns, but they individually targeted each house. And these are just fucking beautiful country houses with allotments, people growing vegetables. And they would destroy one house, and then with their gun they'd go to the next house and destroy that. But it wasn't 15 houses, it wasn't 100 houses. It was like 1,000, 2,000 houses.
Yeah.
And you're just looking at this, and I don't know, you just don't know what you're looking at. But the sort of, you know, the intention, the murderous intention to create panic. Like I was trying to ask one of the soldiers that was with us, like, what are they trying to do? How did they justify this? And I think maybe he said something like, well, they thought maybe there was Ukrainian fight. It's bullshit, you know. So they did that they're just rolling across this land, destroying everything in their wake, creating panic. And the Ukrainians are not confused as to what they're fighting for. There's no confusion. But the thing is, I'm talking now too much, but the Russians, people thought the Russian army was much greater and much more professional than it was. It turns out that it's not a great army. And I think the Russians themselves are starting to realize this. They're not this invincible army. They're actually quite, in many ways, incompetent and also very unprofessional. And some of the things they do are beyond horrifying. But also the Ukrainians, they seem to be much more industrious, much more smarter. They approach it in a much more professional way. And as long as Putin doesn't have a nuclear weapon, you know, there's no way that he'll take this country over. Okay.
Yeah, we provide our soldiers with all the like new professional equipment that's like the best. We have so many volunteers who are contributing to the war efforts, and the government and all of the funding and support we're getting from other countries, in comparison with Russian soldiers who are sent here with basically nothing and sent here to die. Like their own country does not care for them. You know, they're just sending off these young guys with nothing. Like they're not equipped with, they don't even have like medical equipment to help themselves in the case of injury. And this tells me that like your country doesn't care about you. What the fuck are you doing here? What are you fighting for? Like, are you standing for like your homeland? Because they don't give a shit about you. Mm-hmm. So they can't win here because we're here, we're protecting our home, our families, you know, versus a person who's just fucking lost.
And we arrived to this town of Moshchun, right? We got out of the car, and there's this older lady. I'd say she's 70 or 80. They call them babushkas. And she's there in her allotment, and she's picking her vegetables or growing her vegetables. And literally, there's her allotment, and then just beside the allotment is this house completely destroyed to its foundations, burnt out washing machine, you know. And you're looking at that, and it looks like a fucking movie set. You just don't know what you're just
a missile sticking out.
Oh, and a missile sticking out. A missile sticking out of the ground. And you're looking at, I think, what was her name? Tanya or something, or Nadia.
Nadia.
And Nadia, and she was very friendly, and she was talking to us, and where were you? And she got out in time and everything like that. And
she told me she built that house with her own hands, you know.
You know what I mean? She built that house with her own hands, and you're just there, and you're looking, and she think her attitude is, you know, they're not going to stop me from growing my vegetables and so on. And then at the end of it, she gives us some onions.
Yeah,
for Christ's
she gave
sake.
us a lot of green onions.
Green onions, and you know, I found it made me very angry and emotional. And she was so nice, and you know, like her house is destroyed, and she's given us onions. I don't know, it was amazing. But then you know, we went down that road, another destroyed house. Another one, and I could keep on going. Destroyed. So that's what's amazing. I don't get it. Like, I didn't know what I thought war was. But so there's soldiers there. There's men as old as me saying, destroy that house, destroy that house, destroy that house, destroy that house. And then you're going, I'd be like, why are we destroying those houses? There's no soldiers in that. It doesn't matter. We need to let them know we're here, we're taking over, this is our land. I don't know. That's what war is, I suppose. I don't know. It is hard to process the whole thing. It'll take me a while. But it's like that. This is World War II, right? But it is World War III for Ukraine. And then I said, I was talking to somebody yesterday, and he was saying, he says, why isn't the rest of the world coming to our aid? And I think I might have said something, well, maybe it has to get worse. Or I said something stupid like that. And he said, worse? How worse? It's got worse. It's got as bad as it, you know. And he's right. And then Anastasiya was showing me these concentration camps now in Russia where they've got all these Ukrainian prisoners. So all those crimes against humanity, that will be coming out in the years to come, I'm sure. And we'll see video footage of unspeakable acts of
and
cruelty.
they're not documenting this. This is not going to be, like, we won't even get the real numbers of the victims.
And what's so kind of insane about this? Then you look on Sky News, and then you have a video of the Russian foreign minister, and he's in a suit, and he looks kind of normal, and he's saying, "We are the victims, and we are being attacked by NATO." This kind of stuff. And then you're looking at him, and we were just in Moshchun. And and then you look at the Moshchun and all the houses. So but part of their war strategy is to fucking just to lie and give all kinds of bullshit and say everything. And so they will say, oh no, we're the victims. But then behind this, they'll be bombing, so. It's insane.
I feel
it's
like
a
it's
nightmare.
Part of the strategy to confuse everyone, to confuse the enemy.
To confuse the enemy, and also to confuse people around Europe. So it sows the seeds of doubt, and then people look at Ukraine and they kind of, so.
Просто взагалі брехня – це така дуже фундаментальна штука в російській культурі. Типу це прям такий стержень її російської культури.
Anton is mentioning that lie and just making up facts is part of Russian culture.
Брехати і красти.
It's almost like, say you punch me, right? You get your fist and you punch me. It's on video. And then somebody says, "Why did you punch David?" And you go, "I didn't punch him." Huh? What are you talking about? You did. I just saw you punch him. No, I didn't. It's like they. That's how obvious the lie is. But for some reason, some people, maybe they just can't believe that people can be this bad. They can't be that evil. They can't surely just be,
when I watch Russian news, I don't think anymore that 1984 is fantastic.
Orwell's,
yeah. It's just it's book. it's a fantastic book for us, but for Russian people, it's metodichka, it's instruction. Just, what I have to do.
Pretty much, they have no freedom of speech. They're banning certain words. Like, they can't say war in Russia. They're not allowed to say war, the word itself. And they can't say explosion. They say a clap.
Does that not give us hope? Because do you think if the Russians did know what the army are doing here on their behalf, do you think there would be more outrage? Or do they know what's going on?
The internet exists. It's not like they're isolated from the world. Of course, the government is blocking certain websites, but they all have access to VPNs, and there are many ways to access the news.
So they believe Ukraine
They either don't want to hear it, or they just believe Russian propaganda.
I heard Colin, mother from Russia, calls her son in Russia. Her son is a warrior, not warrior, piece of shit, not warrior. So that's Russian soldier, yeah. And Russian soldier talks her mother that mother, we are invaders. We are killing people. I go, no, you are savers. You are savers. I watch the TV, and you are savers. No, I kill her. No.
And it's really
and she
important.
said you're brainwashed to her son, who's in Ukraine.
Yeah.
It's really important to know. Like, we know the dictator playbook, like in Nazi Germany. To justify killing people, Jewish people, they dehumanize them. So because it's very difficult to kill. It's very difficult to kill. But it's very difficult to kill someone who you believe is human.
Of course.
So if you convince people that people aren't actually human, it's a crazy idea and thought. But that's what the Nazis did with Jewish people. They were subhuman, and then now. Because it's happening in real time, people don't understand the powerful effect that I think, or maybe they do, that Putin and his cohorts are saying that Ukraine is full of Nazis. And then, of course, it brings up memories of what did they call their war, the glorious war in Russia, when they fought off the Nazis. Anyway, so the Russians have this kind of, the Russians have this visceral hatred of Nazis. And so it summons up this kind of thing. And they're all Nazis. So he's doing the same as Hitler weirdly did to Jewish people. So although I'm not trying to say you should have sympathy.
No, but this is genocide.
He's it's kind of like a 180-degree kind of. So he's trying to say that all Ukrainians are Nazis to try and get into the minds of Russian soldiers that you're not killing humans, you're killing subhumans, you're killing Nazis. I'm not trying to draw. I don't know. But
well, you're trying to understand like how can someone ever like want to do something like this? But there's no logic to this. You can't. There's no logic.
Because don't try find logic. It's not Nazism or anti-Nazism. It's religion. In Russian, it's religion. It's победобесие. They thought that they won in war.
World War II.
Yeah, but they don't call World War II. They called it
the glorious war. National victory.
And
right?
it's not history. It's not politics. It's religion. Just religion. It's cult. Yeah, cult. But not comedy cult.
And so some people believe that all Ukrainians are neo-Nazis. This is the kind. Well, I'm saying that it's the mad shit.
It's not,
but like, look, here's the thing. It's almost like you know the way I've heard this quite a lot during my lifetime. You know, say somebody has a bad experience with one French person, they'll say, "Oh, I fucking hate French people." Well, what are you talking about? You've only met one French person. You've had a bad experience with them. You don't know all French people. So there would be neo-Nazis in every country. I mean, but they're not a powerful political force. And, you know, so again, I mean, obviously I'm making the same point. It's Putin's cack-handed attempt to dehumanize a whole race of people so that he can get his soldiers to summon up the whatever to kill other people. But I don't know what Ukrainians. Does it piss Ukrainians off? Does it make you angry, or does it? I don't know.
It's just so ridiculous. Like, why it wouldn't piss us off because it's ridiculous. Like calling us neo-Nazis. Like what? Where are these?
Okay.
Can I say I've known you. I've hung out with you every day for. This is serious, actually. I've hung out with you for about 10 days, and you're probably one of the most. You're very progressive. Not that you need any defending, but I'm just saying it's bonkers, yeah.
Окей, я скажу українською, щоб було трошки швидше. Я дуже розумію Девіда, що в нього не вкладається це в голові, але навіть українцям, які воюють з Росією 8 років, знадобилось 8 років, щоб це трошки вклалось в голові. Ми 8 років це сприймаємо, і тільки останні 4 місяці трошки бустануло. Тобто з ракетами прийшло розуміння.
Ну, не трошки бустануло офігенно.
Да,
But yeah, we've been at war for 8 years, and it took some of Ukrainians 8 years to realize this difference, like that, that Russian propaganda is not true, because it had influence in Ukraine as well, until the full-on the start of the war.
And propaganda is part of their war. People don't realize how effective it is. Even as us stand-up comedians, right? We have a whole group. We are stand-up comedians. You're standing on stage, 100 people having a good time, and then just one person can fuck the whole thing up. It takes a tiny amount of people to sort of infect things, and so propaganda. So they do know what they're doing, and it is effective, I guess.
До речі, я хотів спитати, теж швиденько українською спитаю. Мета поїздки. Тобто, в принципі, наприклад, ми робимо культурну оборону, ми бачимо в тому свою користь. Ми думаємо, що ми в цьому більш корисні, тому ми цим займаємось. Навіщо це Девіду? Тобто, от він приїхав в Україну, щоб що? Він думає, яка основна мета?
В Девіда є GoFundMe сторінка, де він збирає кошти на допомогу для України і людей в Україні. Я просто тобі поясню.
Ні, зі мною можна англійською говорити, я ж кажу, це я формулюю довго.
But not to keep on going on about the neo-Nazis, I've actually met neo-Nazis in Würzburg, in the southern part of Germany. I've actually met them.
No.
And when you meet a neo-Nazi, it's like they're kind of concerned. They're totally obsessed with a few issues, and it doesn't take long before the conversation goes into what they're passionate about. I've been here for 10 days. I can tell you, I haven't met a nicer people. People, 99% of people all around the world are fantastic and very nice, but in particular Ukraine, really industrious, hardworking, very tech-savvy place. Everything works brilliantly, very friendly, hospitable.
Also, you see a lot of people from other countries on the streets just walking around, lots of journalists, lots of volunteers of all different nations and backgrounds, and no one's has any issues with that.
But again, even the fact that I have to say that I'm just highlighting the effectiveness of this kind of poisonous shit coming from Russia. And Russians are in the wrong. I've seen it with my own eyes. It's a nightmare on a fucking biblical scale. In a small village, an equivalent village in Ireland, I don't know, it would be... I don't know. You just can't get your head around it. I have footage of. I mean, anyway, I'm not.
They was talking about Moshchun. It's nearby Irpin, Bucha, and Hostomel.
Will we talk about your man that got?
The question was, so what was the point of you coming here? For you, what was the motivation? Why did you decide to come to Ukraine?
Well, look, my ex-wife is from Poland, right? And my 2 sons are Polish-Irish. So the Polish border, Ukraine. So it felt close. Now I have made a documentary about the plight of people from Syria, Yemen, Palestine coming to Ireland, getting treated very badly in direct provision. I care about people, and that documentary took me 1 year. But also Ukraine, I was actually horrified when Putin invaded Ukraine. I was really shocked. And also, I know what Russians did in Poland during World War II in a place called Katyn, where they butchered 21,000 Polish officers. 21,000 Polish officers. I mean, it's on this ridiculous scale, just like cattle being just marched in, like an abattoir, just destroyed, killed. And my boys are Polish-Irish, And so it feels personal. And also, you know, I don't want to get too emotional, but I see these young, I'm 56. You know, I'm old enough to be all these soldiers' fathers, and it's terrible that they have to, at this age in their life, be in the position where they're fighting for their existence. And it just felt very personal. So, I mean, what I'm doing is a drop in the ocean, but I thought it'd be a good thing to come over and just show some support. That's it.
Mm-hmm. Okay. By the way, I watched your performance in Cult Comedy Hall.
I'm so sorry.
Why?
Because it was shit. No, sorry.
It was a great evening. The host did really good job.
I marked some. You have a joke about 100 troopers on border with Ukraine, and made old Putin in government, and куди це може йти?
No, I know the joke you're saying is at the time before Putin invaded, he had 100,000 troops on the Russian-Ukrainian border, and people in Ireland were looking at this and going, Jesus, do you think Putin will invade? And the joke was, well, the joke, but I mean, yeah, I think he fucking will. Because I mean, it doesn't take, you don't have to be Sherlock Holmes to realize that if
actually, because it's for me, it's very, even you from Ireland, you see it clear. Not even Ukrainians see it clear.
Not even?
Not even our president see it clear.
Yeah, well, it was the president, like, they have intel, and like they should know better. But as citizens in the country, like, I didn't believe till the day it all started, because I was hoping it wouldn't happen, you know?
Yeah, because people because
if it happened again, I wouldn't believe it.
They thought maybe it was just a show of strength. It was just him going.
We were just hoping.
And then when he invades the country, then people are, even when he goes into the country, it's almost like, so I have a knife, and I'm there like this. Do you think he might? Well, I think he fucking might. Why do you think that? Because he's got a fucking knife in his hand and he's pointing it at the person. And then Putin puts the knife in. And then people are like, well, he hasn't put it in the whole way. Do you think he's going to go the whole way? You think he fucking might, you know. So, sorry, but the point is that I think people are thinking with their own brains and their own life experience and their own values, and they can't understand the mind of Vladimir Putin and the years that he's been in power and how corrupted this has made him. He's fucking mad. I mean,
of course, mad, because powerful goes to madness.
And then operator Starsky made a very good point. Putin would not have invaded if he thought. This is what he said. This is what I understood him to say. Putin would not have invaded if he thought the war was going to go on for this long. He wouldn't have invaded if he didn't realize the Ukrainian army was so much better than his army. He actually thought, this is what, I don't know if you believe this, but he thought the war would be over very quickly. Do you think that's true?
I think that Putin is very old and sickness. I mean, he's going to die. And he have maybe 1 week, maybe 1 month, maybe a little more, not years. And he decided to have a party in the last day of his life.
I know. I know.
You think he's actually sick? Like
of course, all old men's sick. Okay, and even
whoa! What? All old men are sick?
You're not old man.
Thanks.
I was talking to our friend Johnny about this, and he believes that Putin invaded the Ukraine because he was gonna die, like more so politically, actually die because opposition was gaining a bit. Like more, like the voices of opposition were louder, and to maintain the power in Russia, he needed to take action, and this was a way for him to like save his own life.
So it's an accumulative effect. The invasion is an accumulation of his desperation to cling to power. So he makes this threat, and then something else happens. So then he has to escalate and do something else to take the attention away from opposition or something. So this is a way, possibly, of him maintaining power in his own country, is it? No? Anyway.
Don't try to find logic in mad mind.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay? If you don't mad, you don't understand. Well, it's all, I think. By the way, what about our local scandal?
Okay.
It's did you hear? Did you?
Yes. So what Anastasiya told me is a comedian made a comparison between the money that the government give people for COVID, but apparently you could only spend that money on certain specific things.
Like books,
and then. Well, I find it. I'm a bit worried even to say it, but apparently, if a soldier dies while fighting for Ukraine in Ukraine, the family receives a large sum of money, and obviously, you know, when you're talking about human life, how do you put a figure of a monetary figure on it? But it's I think it's a very sensitive subject, and I think the comedian then said, with that money, you can only buy certain things or something like that.
Yeah.
So I think in the context of the joke, I mean, it wasn't. Sorry, am I doing it justice? The joke?
Yeah, it wasn't that funny, you know. Yeah. But it wasn't like it wasn't like hatred towards Ukrainian army. Also, wasn't the event where he was performing a part of fundraising for the army in Cult Comedy Hall? It was not specifically Cult Comedy Hall, but Stand-Up Bottle Club. They do these streams, and the stream they do 100% goes to support Ukrainian army, but also they do stand-up just stand-up, right, where each comic does like 5 to 10 minutes, and during those events 50% of the money raised goes to support the army. So my point was, Oleg Gryundic, he was performing in one of those events. So his performance is fundraising money for Ukrainian army. And now people are hating on him because they think he doesn't respect Ukrainian army. Just being a part of this event means you...
it's a problem, but take it. Wait a minute. It doesn't matter. My point, because even he performed on for yourself, for himself, and it doesn't matter because joke not about dead soldiers, not about families. It's joke about our governments and stupid people in our governments, because our governments відноситься до нас як до дітей.
Treats us like children.
Yeah, I know that, right. But I think it was probably he hadn't done this joke before. He'd come up with a new joke, and I think there's an angle of attack with the joke, and that only comes from trying it out again and again and again and again. So maybe, you know, 6 months down the line, if he was able to develop that joke, he'd be able to say it in a way that's more palatable, more acceptable. But I get what you're saying. You're saying that people have a right also to react. No,
he's saying that the joke was not targeted at the families of deceased soldiers or soldiers. The criticism of the joke was targeted at the government.
But of course, Oleg didn't не допрацював цей жарт. Проблема з його формулюванням.
He didn't work this joke out. He needs to formulate it differently. That's what David pointed out. David said, like, if he tried this joke at more events, it eventually would have evolved into something better. Because Oleg is a great comedian. His stand-up is great. But this was very fresh material. And
but I made the same point. You know, we're all comedians. You know, we will fuck up. And allow us, please, to make mistakes. We're not scientists, you know. And you know, yes, have a reaction, but surely don't ban this kid or don't cancel him or don't try to beat him up. Just support the guy. You're a fucking asshole. I don't like that joke. Okay.
Yeah, but
and then
we have context. First of all, our stand-up comedy industry is very, very young. Not all people in comedy hall even know what is stand-up. They came on our show. And our stream show, our some comedian show, not stand-up, just show. And I was in stand-up. Even people don't know.
They're not familiar with the format of stand-up.
And history of our comedy, not stand-up, all comedy. We don't, як сказати це? Ми не звикли до такого взагалі роду комедії.
Stand-up is very young in Ukraine, so it's not. People are not. The audience is not used to this level of like darkness of humor, I guess.
Yeah, not only darkness. We used to joke about family, about mother of wife, and now we didn't touch hard topics, but stand-up. All stand-up comedy is around hard topics, around cancer, wars, Jews. I don't know.
Well, yeah, it's true. So the stand-up scene is very young here in Ukraine and in Lviv specifically, and it takes time to for comedians to develop their voices and learn how to talk about these complicated subjects. Yeah. But I think this is very important for Ukraine because we are going through so much trauma. We need to talk about it. Yeah. And stand-up is one of the formats that can be very useful to process this trauma.
And of course, but we have context. We have war. And when you touch a topic like this, like dead soldiers, Ukrainian soldiers, you have to be very careful. Yeah. It's bomb. It's bomb. And
yeah. That's right.
But not jonglирование.
Yeah, especially he was on the stream.
And.
But I also think guys, they see it as a challenge and they want to try and risk a joke. So I think the way to I would say to the people who objected strongly or tried to attack him, he's on your side, even though he did fuck up, he did make a mistake, but it's words, and also the other point is that freedom of expression. That's kind of partly what this fight is for. Russia coming in here and they're trying to just eradicate.
And just learning and finding new ways to talk about these complicated subjects. But we have to talk about it, and we're gonna fuck up sometimes.
But we have a lot of people with survivor guilt, and these people sit at home and they don't know what
survival guilt is. Yes.
What can I do? What can I do with Azovstal? What can I do with Bucha and other? And they sit, they pay.
That's a really good point. Yeah, and they see this guy, and then so they go, whoa, yeah.
And these people. Внезапно, раптово.
All of a sudden,
suddenly, see some comedians use a word about just word, not they don't hear all jokes, they don't try to understand, they мертвый засушник, все, kill this man.
Oh yeah, look, even if let's just put the war in other parts of the world, there will be people who just sort of enjoy or they obsess about other people and they try to chip away and undermine somebody that they see doing well or possibly moving forward in their career, and it makes them jealous or they resent people, and so they will specifically look for things to try and get that comedian into trouble. And listen, if the stuff I said was or stuff I'm sure Anastasia.
You're sure?
You know, if
the bits of stand-up you
like
heard,
if you take stuff that we say literally, we're in a lot of trouble.
Yeah.
You know, so you can't. And with comedy, you're playing around with ideas and you're saying stuff that you don't believe in just to hear what it sounds like, and you say the opposite to what you mean, and you fuck around.
But you talk about stand-up culture.
Yeah.
We haven't yet stand-up culture.
Okay.
We have little plant.
So what's your opinion on the cancel culture and your personal experience with that?
Cancel. Well, I mean, I don't like the word cancel, by the way, because it sounds quite psychopathic. You know, you cancel an appointment, you cancel a train. You don't cancel a human being. There's a lot of people I don't like. I would never want them to be cancelled. I would always want them to be able to create wealth for themselves. But it was funny, on our way here, me and Anastasia saw this big poster. Can we talk about that? Do you think? Yeah. And you pointed out, and it's so right. So you have these pictures of these sexy women, you know, and what did it say?
So, well, it wasn't just sexy women. One of them was an Olympic champion, and another one was Nadia Dorofeeva, the singer. And they're wearing like it's a sports store. I don't know what brand. It's like a known brand. I don't remember.
Yeah, but they're very, yeah.
But the signage says she inspires the victory. So like a woman dressed nicely inspires victory, as if we don't have women in front lines. Like, no. Yeah. We're not inspiring. We're fighting in the war.
I think implicit in this advertisement is women can't really fight and be part of the war effort, but what they can do is kind of spread their legs for. I mean, that's not what the sign was saying, but I mean, in other words, this is your prize, boys. If you go out there and you're on the front line, because you know because they were quite sexualized photos.
You go put
it is quite
life on the line. I'll buy a nice pair of sweatpants for you.
You know, so
because.
But I guess you know it's. But it. Sorry. What were you saying?
Actually, we have another little scandal on this topic, but with less negative. Same point when. Okay, it's our traditional misogyny, chauvinism. It's our traditional
misogyny. Yeah. So recently, just a few days ago,
I just have to say because Anastasia's reaction to that poster.
Yeah, he wouldn't notice. Well,
I would.
First of all, he doesn't read Ukrainian.
But
second of all, he's too focused on certain parts of the poster.
But no, Anastasia's reaction was, "Oh, for fuck's sake!" I mean, because Anastasia herself is, you know, buying equipment specifically for the war effort. So she's not inspiring anyone. She's actively taking part in it, as are most, all women, every human being. But it is funny. If I was a woman, or if I was a guy, and it does feel like inspiring. It's almost we're too delicate to be involved in the, you know, like but you know. But boys, you know, it was quite sexual when you come back from the war.
We have a local comedian, Valentin Perus, and he started a little flash mob. He dropped his photo and like this.
Yeah.
And okay, for Ukrainian.
Let me explain the context.
For Ukrainian armed forces, because his замість дівчата.
Я розкажу про Лесю Никитюк. So this blogger, she made a post on Instagram, was like full on makeup, and she's saying like, oh, we've been at war for like 3 months already. Girls, it's time to pull yourself together. We need to look pretty for our men, to support them. And then she created a hashtag like beauty for Ukrainian army.
Yeah.
So that's disgusting, because like fucking go and tell that to a widow or like someone who lost a father or a son or a brother at the war. Like, oh, you better maybe if you put some lipstick on, maybe your father would not have died in the war. but maybe he would have fought harder. You know? Is that what?
Yeah. Well. Do you know something as well? I think it's taking a while for people to catch up to where, you know, progressive thing is now, and I suppose because there's a war on, you kind of just, you know, let them. But it is a bit backward. But it is funny though. I don't think, because it's not. I don't think a lot of guys would notice that. I mean, no, I'm sure I hope I would.
Well, we have a friend comedian, Valentin Parus, so he started his own trend on Instagram where he's encouraging all the boys on Instagram to inspire just the army as well. So like it's time to look pretty for the army. So it's not you know it's not sexism anymore. It's anyone can look pretty. So
well, do you know something? I don't think. I don't think that the promise of sex needs. I don't think they need to be. I mean, those Ukrainian soldiers, the guys I've seen, Jesus Christ, what it does feel like, you know, in this country, like in people, especially in Ukrainian, there's this fighting spirit, and it's always there, and it's laying dormant during peacetime. But the fighting spirit of Ukrainians is something that I haven't seen. I've never been in a war, but the first days I was here, I just saw the facial expressions of people, and I thought, Jesus Christ, you wouldn't want to fuck with these people. And that's what Putin has done. He's made a massive mistake. Yeah. I mean, everything that he's wanted from the war, like it's united Europe, it's united Ukraine, Finland, Sweden has become part of NATO. And it's all kind of it's all going. And then
he's just separating himself.
And then
from
they're
the
like, no,
rest of the world.
we're the victim.
Я теж скажу українською, щоб швидше було. Дуже цинічна, можлива думка, але Путін зробив те, чого ми не змогли самі українці зробити. Він сформулював нашу націю. Бо ну, ніяка Фаріон не могла перевести стільки українців на українську, як Путін.
Мені придеться пояснювати Дейвіду, хто така, блядь,
And actually, speaking about invasion, almost the people who are pro-Russian to some extent, not fully pro-Russian, they're saying, well, I mean, Russia was kind of provoked.
Oh yeah, this shit. It's like,
and in the same way, talking about sexism, if a woman, when I was growing up, this old-fashioned idea, if a woman is walking down the street and she's wearing provocative gear, well, she's kind of asking for it. What the fuck? She's just her own person.
She just has a body.
But she enjoys looking sexy. She's not asking.
Not necessarily. What you consider to be sexy might not be like someone intentionally.
She's sexy. Enjoying. Okay.
She's just being herself.
Okay. Yes,
being comfortable.
Fair enough. But in other words, that men are such fucking animals, so out of control, their libidos are like, so once they see a woman, so it's excusing male fucking predator. So it's almost like saying, well, you know, Russia, you don't poke the bear. And
Ukraine is just wearing too short of a skirt.
Ukrainians were
she was asking for it.
Ukrainians were kind of, you know, no.
Ukraine's such a slut. Oh my God.
Putin didn't have to do any of this.
Nope. You were saying something. Oh yeah, so Anton made a point about that Putin has united Ukraine like no Ukrainian leader ever could. Yeah. Oh, I mean, in modern days, like recent days, like no Ukrainian politician could have like actually united Ukraine this much like fucking Putin did, because like he made us, like honestly, like I feel like we all became family.
Yes.
Like this, and like right away I started messaging everyone I interacted with within like past couple of months on the first day of war, and asking them if they're okay, because I truly cared. I wanted to know like if they're okay, you know. Yeah, interesting experience.
And it's been amazing hanging out with you, Anastasia, and you've been so kind and supportive, and I really appreciate everything you've done.
I really appreciate what you've done for me too, because so we met in Cult Comedy Hall, and I was hosting an English open mic. I was emceeing it, and David saw me there, and then we talked a little bit, and he invited me to perform with him in Ivano-Frankivsk, and I was excited to do that, so we did that together, and it worked out great, because I come in, I warm up the audience, and I talk to them a little bit in Ukrainian, a little bit in English, and like kind of prepare them for to receive the.
So I can't wait for our next tour.
Yeah.
The peace has broken. The peace tour.
The peace tour, yeah. Well,
yeah.
Probably soon, you know, after the victory.
Or the victory tour.
Yeah, the victory tour.
But no, it has, like I've said at the start of the podcast, meeting someone like, I mean, completely accidentally meeting someone like Anastasia, who's fluent in both English and Ukrainian. it just facilitated my sort of understanding of the culture much quicker than if Anastasiya wasn't around. And the fact that she's a comedian, it's fucking amazing. I was very lucky.
I went through those processes myself because I just moved to Ukraine 2 years ago. So I was still adapting. I think I'm finally like good. Like they're like new people that I meet. They don't know that I'm not from here, because I was like trying to understand the stand-up culture in Ukraine and just
by the way,
so it's easy for me to explain it to another person now.
By the way, about stand-up culture, did you hear our comedians or not?
Yes, I did. I heard Anton Tomoshenko, and I saw him in the
Kyiv.
bomb shelter in Kyiv. Kyiv. And I was worried before coming over, like, what should I say? What should I not say? You know, it's not my country. It's not my war. I don't know. I don't want to hurt people, or I don't want to cross the line. And but then I saw Anton do his YouTube stuff, and the stuff he was saying was fucking bonkers. I mean, it was great. It was very dark. It's very healthy. To me, the way he's talking, it's like a sign of that you're, you know, because as performers, I feel we're duty bound to say what comes into our heads. People love honesty, and also most people, they have the wisdom to know what's real, what's not real, what he's actually meaning, what he doesn't mean, what his values are, what his values aren't. We get it immediately.
You know what I'm thinking? Like when you like hurt your toe on something and you're like, fuck. Like you don't mean it, but like you need to release that.
You know,
energy
I want to kill Anastasiya. I don't want to kill her. No, but anyway, listen. The point is, I saw him. It was great performance. And it just thought, okay, I'm good. I can go over there. And then Vasily, he reminds me. He performed in English, but he plays this kind of character that pretends he doesn't really know what he's doing. He's very clever, and he reminds me of Roberto Benigni, a very famous Italian comedian, and of course Anastasiya, immensely likable. Very good, and just starting off, so, you know, who knows, you know, she is the future of comedy, possibly your next president.
I have another question about...
and also Bogdan, who was unbelievably welcoming, although he's always very busy, but he was really nice, and it's just been an amazing experience for me, I have to say, at this time in your country's history. It's just awesome.
Okay, I have a question for myself. I mean, it's not about...
Do you want me to ask it?
Від себе хочу спитати, це що мене цікавить. In our country we have some tradition to split genres, and for example music, it's genres, excuse me, it's rock, it's rap, it's not they ніколи не будуть разом.
They never cross.
Are you saying is it the same in comedy?
They don't mix.
Я спитаю тебе зараз. Коротше, у нас є оця штука за чистоту жанру. І в стендапі, нібито, визначення стендапу, що це одна людина на сцені, без нічого, тільки зі своїм про себе матеріалом. А Девід виступав з гітарою, наприклад. Василь виступає в образах. Чи це стендап, чи це пофіг, чи просто комедія?
That's an interesting question. So Anton's talking about how, like, in different art fields in Ukraine specifically, we have this notion of sort of like purity of genre. So, like, if it's like rock, it needs to be specific sound. And stand-up, it's specifically one person on the stage talking about their daily life, or like whatever, like their problems. But you're performing with a guitar.
Yeah, well, look,
Vasid is doing lots of improv. What do you think about, like, what is stand-up?
Oh yeah, well, you see, that's the thing within stand-up comedian. Like, a lot of stand-up comedians would see me with a guitar, and they don't like it. Because they think, well, it's easy, you know, because all you have to do is sing something and you get a bigger laugh. And my answer to that would be, yeah, it's fucking great.
For me,
you know. But the thing is, even within stand-up, just straight stand-up, pure stand-up, there's lots of different cliques, and you know, there's guys that are really this way, and there's guys that are very standard and they do setup and punchline, and then there's lots of little cliques within stand-up comedy. A lot of comedians, it's very competitive. Certainly, you know, when I was growing up, I think I'm better than you. You think you're better than me. Even if you are successful, I think, well, fuck him. You know, his success. People are stupid. He's not really that good. But then in comedy, for instance, there are certain comedians. They're huge and they sell out big arenas, and they're funny, but they're not that funny. So what is it about them that creates such a? And there's certain qualities that a comedian can have, like intense likability. You know, they look like your neighbor next door, and so there's lots of. I'm very jealous.
Oh, I was going to ask.
Yeah,
are there any comedians you're jealous of?
Yeah, when I started comedy, I was very jealous of certain comedians who got TV shows. I was fucking blind with jealousy, and then fuck those people. I hated them or whatever. And then, but to me, what jealousy is telling you is, you want what they have, and what are you doing to get there? And if you're not doing anything, shut the fuck up. But if you do want to get there, you just have to work really hard, and you will. And then once you achieve something, then you're not as jealous.
You think jealousy is healthy?
Well, I don't fucking care.
I mean,
it's a human condition. I don't trust people who say, "Oh no, I'm very spiritual. I'm never jealous." Fuck off. Spiritual people are very aggressive. They're liars, and they don't even know what they're talking about. They use the word spirit. What is spirituality?
What do you think about the comedy scene? You've been in stand-up community in Lviv much longer than me. What do you think in this comedy scene? Is there like jealousy and like rivalry between?
Say it in.
Зависть між коміками, і чи є якийсь типу, яка пробує один одного типу.
Yeah, of course. Ukrainian comedians started from one point, from one position, but we are moving with different speed. And someone by 3 years on same position, on same stage, I don't know, but someone else by 3 years, that's it, okay, 40 years, have a big audience, have a lot of fans and another. And I saw the case when
Каже хто?
Не скажу.
Скажи.
Without dop naming, okay?
Тут всі свої.
Of course.
You don't have to name it. The problem is you can't, because you meet these fucking people.
Okay.
So you get, you know, but you can talk in general terms.
There were a few guys, and they were friends, and they started to make comedy in different cities. No, in
Like
yeah, but when коли пішли гроші.
But when they started getting money.
Yeah. Everyone from this group thought, why I отримав стільки грошей, як і він.
Oh, why am I not getting the same amount of money like another guy?
And
I love how it's all guys too. Great.
And that's why we have a problem. We have a problem with our comedy culture, because a big piece of our culture is KVN, is team comedy. When 3, 4, 10 people on the stage, we are together, and in this group, maybe one, maybe two really talented people, other people
Become
just
successful, you mean? Maybe 2 of them will become successful.
Not, I mean.
Actually have talent.
We have 10 people on the stage.
Can I just explain about the Kavan?
No.
So in Ukraine, comedy has always been a big part of our culture. So we had this show called Kavan. It's actually like a Russian post-Soviet thing where you it's like a contest between teams, and it's like a team of comics, and they do like some kind of like scenes. Usually, and then there's a contest, and then there's a winning team. So that was very popular. Zelensky was starting off there. So like Ukrainian people love comedy. But now stand-up is only like starting off, and stand-up is like distinguishing itself very much from Kavan.
We have this tradition, and a lot of stand-up comedians started from Kavan, and they think that we have to.
Unite.
We have to unite. We have to unite to the group of comedians. But I for what? Even every stand-up comedian is
an individual.
Individual, of course.
Yeah.
And Kavan worked because Kavan team have 1 or 2 talent in all.
I know exactly what you mean. So it's a different style. It doesn't really work. I know what you mean. You're individuals, develop your own style. You're on your own path. You're not. It's not like. I mean, we can be friendly with each other, but competitiveness is good. It's natural competition. I want to. If I work harder, I'm better than you. I get more audience. We're not all the same. Some comedians are shit, and some comedians are really good.
But friendship ends when we have money.
What do you think the future of Ukrainian comedy is? Here.
Я не годен говорити за всю комедію.
What do you think? What do you think? How is the war gonna influence the development of stand-up scene in Ukraine?
Look, I know what's, the stand-up thing here, it'll become more and more popular, bigger and bigger. You'll have 1 breakout star and 2 breakout, and then the TV companies will go, ooh, ooh, and then they'll go and they'll. But listen, the best thing you can do as stand-up comedians starting off is gig, constantly work on your material. But it'll get bigger. 10, 20 years. You're going to be huge. Not physically big.
Okay.
Oh yeah, she's typical woman. Okay. She thinks no. So it's great. Look, and it's such a cool country. The comedy clubs are so gorgeous, they're so beautiful.
Yeah, I'm really hoping to.
And I know for a fact, you can see the people are dying for entertainment, and they love honesty, and even though I spoke English, you could see there was certain moments, and with Vasily and with Anastasiya, there's just those little moments where boom, big happy laughter, and so it's just it's here, it's happening. I mean,
Yeah, I think the world is paying close attention to Ukraine right now, and I think we need to make more English content.
Yes, I think it's almost, you can even look at it as part of the fucking war effort, just to show people how cool and how you are processing it, and so they can identify with you, and they, I would be thinking exactly the same thing if I was in that person's situation. And it does help. I mean, even me seeing that young Tomashenko, it was great.
No, and even you just deciding to come visit Ukraine and do a tour around Ukraine, that shows that international community is ready to show their support.
Definitely.
And specifically you're awesome for doing it. So I want to thank you for this, because you're helping. You're doing the GoFundMe page. Yeah. And
it's tiny, but it's a gesture. I can't handle compliments. Hey, we should, because
I think that's the note I wanted to end this.
Oh, thank you so much.
You're awesome. Thank you for doing this podcast.
If I was younger, I would marry you.
Oh, thank you.
I would marry you too. Thank you.
Of course.
Of course, with your permission.
I think